As always, I'm Relogic, and today we're going to be talking about a forgotten battle in a forgotten war. This is the Canadian involvement in the Battle of Kapyong during the Korean War. On the 22nd of April, 1951, the 2nd Battalion of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry Regiment, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Jim Stone, had taken position atop of Hill 677, overlooking the Kapyong Valley. To their east was the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment, who were assigned a similar, yet less defendable Hill 504. These positions were vital to the UN contingent in Korea, and if they fell, the road to Seoul would be open to the Chinese. The initial attack focused on the Australians. Running low on ammunition, and with casualties numbering upwards of 155, they were forced to pull back on the 24th of April. Now, the PPCLI, numbering 700 strong, and armed with mostly single-shot bolt-action rifles designed in 1914, would have to defend against nearly 5,000 Chinese, armed with submachine guns. At 2200 hours, on the 24th of April, the 354th Regiment of the Chinese 118th Division began its assault on the Canadians' right flank, which was easily repelled by the defenders. Within an hour, a second wave was successful in overrunning the right forward platoon. The Chinese were then halted again after the right forward platoon fell back to the company's main position. With the help of the Canadian mortars and New Zealand artillery, the Canadians held off the Chinese throughout the night. However, during this time, a company of Chinese troops pushed south towards B Company. Aware of this movement, due to the Chinese using bugles to direct troop movement, the Canadians placed 6 M3 half-tracks, each armed with a 50 and 30 cal machine gun, in strategic positions, and awaited the Chinese attack. Once the enemy was within 180 meters, the Canadians opened fire with everything they had, and were able to halt the Chinese, who took severe casualties. Having failed several attempts to break through the Canadian lines, the Chinese then turned its attention to D Company, who held the battalion's left flank. At 1:10 in the morning, the Chinese were detected and engaged by the 10th Platoon, who opened fire with Vickers machine guns, along with Bren guns. However, the Chinese succeeded in overrunning a section, killing 2 machine gunners who had remained at their post, firing to the bitter end. The Canadians soon counterattacked, with help from New Zealand artillery firing at slow rate to conserve ammunition. But with continuing pressure from the Chinese, the rate of fire was increased, so 24 rounds fell every 30 seconds in an area of 180 meters. With 10th Platoon still being overrun, its commander, Lieutenant Mike Levy, called in a fire mission down on his own position. This would occur twice during the battle. The dug-in Canadians were unharmed, while the exposed Chinese were removed from their position. After these attacks, and with the help of the artillery, both D and B Company were able to reoccupy previously lost ground. Worried that the fighting would continue for another night, Lieutenant Colonel Stone ordered a resupply by airdrop to be made on their position. However, it was not needed. Besides small harassing fire by small Chinese units, no major attack would again be launched, and Hill 677 was firmly in Canadian control. The Battle of Kapyong cost the lives of 10 Canadians, with a further 23 wounded, along with Australia's 32 killed, 59 wounded, and 3 captured. The Chinese had it worse though, with 1,000 killed and another 1,000 wounded, and would never again launch a major offensive during the remainder of the Korean War. For their actions, both the Canadian and Australian units received the United States Presidential Unit Citation from the American government. This was the first time a Canadian unit received that honor. For calling in a fire mission on his own position during the battle, Lieutenant Mike Levy was granted a coat of arms in 2003, and Lieutenant Herbert Gray stated that his actions and the artillery fire saved the Canadians. Today, a monument stands in Korea dedicated to the 516 Canadian soldiers that gave their lives in the Korean War. Among them are the 10 that died on Hill 677.